All right. Hey, everybody. This is Kevin Gormley with Leading Edge. I'm here today with John Creme de la Creme Cremer. That's his, I was going to say your stage name, John, but I don't think that's what it is, right? It's your call sign on the Pilot Money Guys.
That's it. That's it.
So John is a first officer with FedEx. He was a former Air Force Academy graduate, and also you're in the reserves with the Air Force, John. And recently you didn't have enough to do, so you decided to become a financial planner as well, past the Series 65. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, the plight of FedEx pilots. And what I would say is that, most of the time everything goes great. And, pilots are able to have their career. They're able to make the money that they're able to make and have a retirement. I mean, if I asked you what your favorite age would be, it would not be age 60 or age 65. But hey, if you're going to get to age 60 or 65, having a retirement is a really great thing. So today we're going to talk about when things don't go right. We're going to talk about disability. So John, why are we talking about disability today? What's the rationale for FedEx pilots?
Yeah, I think that this is something that probably most people don't really think about. Like I'm a fairly optimistic person. I think when I envision my future as a pilot, you never really think about what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been around long enough, you hear stories of guys that either going on disability for a semi-long period of time, a year, 2 years. You hear about people losing their license for medical condition, whether that's some related to eyesight or hearts or just something that epilepsy. I've heard of this before. So just any kind of medical condition that's going to keep you out of the cockpit. And kind of once you're out of the military, all these questions come up, because if I were to lose my license at age 35, that's a much more detrimental situation than it was before I left the military. So we just talk through that stuff. It's not necessarily a pleasant conversation, but definitely important to think through that and think through what life would look like for you if you did lose your license.
Yeah, so I would say that's the main mission today, is to think about what happens if you do become disabled. Is the disability that kind of is career ending and or a long-term disability. So John, we've talked a little bit before this, like who are the people that should really consider getting extra disability coverage? Because FedEx offers 50%, I think, right? If you do nothing, you get 50% disability. Can you go through that base case disability pay that FedEx offers?
Yeah, great topic. I looked into this because when you get hired by the company, they bring everybody in, and for two straight weeks, they give you the whole gamut of things that you're covered under, and it's just like a fire hose. It's a lot to take in. So if you go back through, it's open enrollment at FedEx right now, so everyone's going back through and deciding what kind of coverage they need, whether it's dental, vision, life insurance. There's a lot of options out there, so. A lot of resources. It's time to research this stuff. But when you look at the long-term disability, FedEx offers basically as soon as you become a FedEx employee, you're covered under the corporate plan, which gives you if you go on short-term disability, what they want you to do is use your sick bank. So use your
Right.
sick bank and your disability bank that your sick bank rolls into every year. They want you to use that up in the short term if it's just an issue that'll get used, that'll recover, you'll recover from fairly
Right.
quickly. Now, if you do go on a long-term disability, that will be approved by the company. They'll go through, and I'm sure that's a process of getting it approved and going through the docs just to make sure that this is the right course of action. Now, once you get approved for long-term disability, you'll receive 60% of your average pay, or the best paying 12 months in
Right.
the last 36 months. So they basically take a snapshot of what you're making at FedEx currently, and they'll give you 60% of that for a maximum of 2 years. Now, after the 2-year period, then they knock that 60% down to 50%, and they'll give you 50% until you either retire, you recover, or you're terminated. Those three things.
So
So if you want more information on that, it's all on the open enrollment site. You can look at that, and they have numbers you can call during business hours. But I got all of that information just from the open enrollment.
So just to summarize, John, you become disabled, use your sick time, then you roll into 60% for 2 years, then you go to 50% until hopefully you can come back to work. So, but if
Exactly.
not, you would either retire. So FedEx has another thing where you can actually go do a different job as well, right? That's something that I found to be unique, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, I think that there's pilots always have the resume never changes. So all of the flight hours, all the experience. I have run into several folks that have had medical issues, and then they use their skills as a pilot to go to the training facility. They teach sims, or they have other jobs within the corporate structure to do. So I think that is that's just my own personal experience and meeting a few people that went out on long-term disability and basically were offered other jobs that weren't flying because of their loss of medical.
Right, right. So let's talk about this idea of deep risk right now. So deep risk is a risk that if it happens, you're basically screwed. So I don't know if disability is truly basically screwed, because FedEx is offering some mitigation through 50-60% here. But the thing that we see as far as deep risk as financial planners is that if you go on disability, you can no longer really save for retirement. The disability insurance will at least, make you somewhat whole and be able to take care of your family, but kind of saving for retirement is over. So John, as a financial planner, as well as a pilot, what are the things that you think about as far as if you became disabled? Obviously you'd be a full-time financial planner. You wouldn't be in London quite as much, but what are the other items that you think about as far as trying to mitigate this deep risk?
Yeah, I think I think about this, and selfishly, I just go to my own situation and say, hey, how would I react to a
Right.
situation like that, where I go in for the FAA flight physical, and they find some underlying issue that I can no longer fly. That would obviously have a lot more than just financial implications. Just saying, hey,
Right.
you're not going to fly anymore for the rest of your life. But I think that that's a scenario that every person should kind of work through with their wife, with their family members. Whoever is going to be affected by that situation. Uh, it's just something to talk about. So for me, I'm 35 years old. I'm at a very young part in my life. I have 3 young kids. And so that is kind of I'm in that deep risk situation that if I were to get 50% of my pay, um, that I would have to find something else. But like you said, I have this where I could be a financial advisor full time. I would need some sort of encore career at age
Mhm.
35 to be able to support my family and do the things that we want. But that's also where some of these other things come in here, like the long-term disability insurance that we'll talk about shortly. Just a conversation you should definitely have with your spouse. So I really assess the liabilities that you have. So how old are you? Do you have kids at home? All of my liabilities, my mortgage, whatever my monthly payments are, that has to go into the calculus of whether, hey, could I make living on 60% or 50% work? And those are the big questions you're going to have to ask yourself, or talk over those issues with a financial planner.
So really what you're saying is that you could have risk on the financial side, just having maybe a couple $1 million home with a big mortgage. If you have 7 kids, that might be that might be a tremendous risk area there. And paying for college in the future, all these other issues is something that you should think about. So let's talk about the other insurance. So all FedEx pilots get the regular insurance, and then you can get the other insurance. And we had seen some eye-popping numbers as far as how much the insurance was, John. And you just mentioned that something just came out from the company. So can you go over what the upcoming changes are and what the insurance is?
Yeah, so the it's actually offered by the union. So if you want any information on the long-term disability, the only long-term disability you can get as a FedEx pilot is with Alpa. So just go to your fedex.alpa.org. They have all of the information on insurance. You'll log in with your credentials, and they have all of the rates. There's a brochure online that you can look at how much it would cost you specifically to pay for these different kinds of coverage. They just sent us an email as we were talking about this, that the rates were going down 30% in some cases. So they're going to come out with new premium rates at the 1st of November. So look for those, 1st of November 22. They'll have new rates as far as the long-term disability. But if you're in one of those situations where you have some deep risk, you're young, you have kids at home, you have a lot of liabilities, this is something that you could look at to cover those gap years that you don't have a lot in savings, or you're not technically self-insured. The long-term disability insurance can be a good benefit that you could add to, just in case, worst case scenario happens and you do lose a license.
So, John, we don't want to go through all those numbers. I'm sure people, if they're checking this out, don't want to go through all these numbers. So bottom line it for us. What's the extra insurance that a person could buy, and is it worth it? Which is a very loaded question. But anyway, what is the extra benefits that somebody could buy if you can make it more simple?
Yeah, there's 3 different options. You can get basically a 48-month payout, which I think is their basic plan. You get 48 months of just a set amount every month that is in addition to your disability that you get at FedEx. There is a plus plan that basically pays you all the way until retirement. If you get put on disability, they pay all the way until you're 65. And then there's a lump sum option. So you get put on disability and they give you a lump sum, and obviously you can change that lump sum number. It affects the premium you pay, but they can give you a lump sum to get you by until you get another career, or just to get you all the way to retirement. So those are the 3 options. And then my whole take on it is just it's very long-term disability is just very unique to the person. It depends on your situation. Like, is it right for everybody? No, absolutely not. Is it right for certain people? Yes. And so you just have to go over that. That's where I would say guys like you and me, financial planners, talk through people's situations. It makes sense for some, but not for all. I think as far as in my life, I would like to get to a spot where I have kind of a self-insured environment where I have money saved for my kids' college. I have money in the bank in case I do lose a license, and I have other things that I'm pursuing and able to take care of my family if I were to go on disability. So that's the end goal. But I understand, at certain ages and certain life cycles that you may not be in that situation to be self-insured. So definitely something to look at. And if you're feeling apprehensive about the possibility of losing your license, this is a great additional insurance to look at, and might fit well into your whole financial plan.
Yeah. Thank you for that, John. That makes a lot of sense. So we're financial planners. We're always looking for motivational reasons why people should save and invest more. So one of the ideas we came up with is, insurance is great. We believe in insurance, but some people, they're going to see the premiums and they're just going to go, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to pay, $500, $700 a month for something that I don't know if I'll ever use. So we talked a little bit about an investment strategy. Again, it's not either or. It's if you decide, hey, I'm absolutely not going to do this extra insurance. What else could pilots do as far as saving and where to save for a potential disability?
I think there's a lot of options as far as insuring yourself. Just that extra, having extra cash on hand for short-term stuff. Pardon me. Is always great. I think people get a little scared when they have all this cash and they're like, I should invest it.
Right.
There is some risk to keeping it. You have, especially when inflation is in the news and you're hearing about the inflation that's happening right now. But I think there is a benefit to having some cash on hand, just to get you started in the next thing if you were to pursue another career or needed, 2 years of basically getting back on your feet. So cash is always good. The second thing I would say is these plans cost money to Alpa. They put out the plans. They have to pay for insurance. They have to pay for the marketing. They have to pay for certain things around the plan. So if you're not that interested in the long-term disability plans, you can basically become self-insured. So you putting money in a brokerage account, investing it in the S&P 500 index funds, something that's going to grow over time. You can find yourself dollar cost averaging and get into a place where you become self-insured. It just kind of depends on your situation, and kind of depends on how conservative or aggressive that you want to invest. And there's definitely a time and a place where you have more assets than you do have liabilities, and this insurance doesn't make sense anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I have one example I'm just thinking about right now of a client who started putting $500 a month into a brokerage account. And, this was many years ago. That's a good thing about having gray hair. I see what happens over time. And they have about $180,000 now in that brokerage account, investing 50% in stocks, 50% in bonds. And the reason 50-50 is because they might take the money out at any time. So that is something you can do. It's very tax efficient from the stock side, the bond side, not so much. But anyway, if you want liquidity, you need to sacrifice a little bit. But so that's one of the strategies we think. If you're thinking about disability and you're worried, the greatest thing to do when you're worried is have some type of action, and the action would be to save on the side. So John, you want to sum things up for us? What I'm seeing here is 1 in 20 pilots are on long-term disability every year based on Harvey Watt. So I did find one thing, which I don't know if it's true or not, but that's from the AOPA director, which I think is a general aviation site, isn't it? AOPA.
Yeah. And Harvey Watt works with FedEx. He's a guy that helps there. Basically, when you go down on medical, he tries to get you to the point where they get the problem fixed and get you back up and flying again. So
Okay.
if they're saying it, I believe it. 1 in 20 pilots is a lot more than I would assume. So
Right.
I think it happens fairly frequently.
So let's do just fast and furious here. What are the things that really people should take home from this recording?
Well, I think the first thing is the great thing is you're covered partially. So FedEx covers every FedEx pilot under a long-term disability plan, that you will get either 60% that goes down to 50% if you do get into a long-term disability situation. So feel good about that. You're covered. That they mention that to all the new hires. So if you blanked out during those briefings, then you are covered. The second thing is there are other options if that's not enough for your situation. So I think the second thing is really just talking through your liabilities. Sit down with your wife and say, hey, what would we do if I lost my pilot's license? And have those conversations. And I think that'll tell you mostly everything you need to know. Do I need more insurance? Am I okay with making it on 60%? And does that take away some of my long-term goals if that were to happen? And then the third thing is, there is a point in time when I think you can be self-insured. You can get to a spot where the extra insurance doesn't quite make sense. And that would probably be the cheapest, and you would have the most control over the scenario. So the biggest thing is long-term disability is not for everybody. It's not an auto sign up. Hey, I need long-term disability. But this extra insurance that's offered by the union is something to take a look at. So get with your financial advisor, get with your people, talk to your spouse. And if you guys have any questions on that, I'm always available. So let me know, and we can run through the math and see if it makes sense for your situation.
John, thank you very much. Safe travels back to Memphis later today. And we very much appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us today on disability. Our phone number is 865-240-2292, 865-240-2292, or you can reach out to us, info@leadingedgeplanning.com, or John, Jon, at leadingedgeplanning.com if you want to speak directly with John. So thank you all so much. Appreciate you reaching out, and take care.